Congratulations, Aberdeen, Washington, on your new Pierce Enforcer Skyboom, job number 34119. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new vehicle. Let's start on the face of the front bumper. On the passenger and driver's side, you'll find dual air horns. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find 2 tow hooks protruding through the front of the bumper. Located in the very center, you'll find your PA speaker system and electronic siren. Moving on to the side of the bumper extension is where you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. As we move up onto the bumper extension on the passenger side is where you'll find your fire bell. Moving just to the right in the image, to the driver's side, you'll find your mechanical siren. Let's move up onto the face of the cab where you'll find a marker light and also a turn arrow indicator just inside of that location headlight structure. Above that, you'll find forward-facing emergency lights, and you'll also find grab handles located on the passenger and driver's side for gaining access to the windshield area. As we move to the windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. Moving up toward the roof of the apparatus, you're going to find a convex mirror downward facing for the front bumper. Moving up to the very center, you'll find a forward-facing brow light and also clearance lights. Moving up to the very top, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items that we just talked about, starting first with the headlight structure. Low and high beam headlights. The high beam is on the inside, low beam on the outside. This is your fire bell with the pull rope going through the cab section. Onto the side of the bumper extension, on the driver's side, you'll find your shoreline inlet. It is a 20 amp plug. Moving up to the top, we'll find the brow light and also side-facing brow lights and opticom. Let's move just inside the cab door. This is the driver's side. You'll find affixed to the door panel warning labels. You'll also find seatbelt information. Your seatbelts are red in color for easy identification. You'll also find when plugged into shore power on the front bumper, your battery charging system will activate down in the lower corner. This is your auto charge status center. Let's move to about the right ankle of the operator where you'll find this placard manufactured from Pierce for the city of Aberdeen, Washington. It has the date of manufacture, job number, which is that 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation. It also has the VIN number and all of the fluid capacity components, fluid capacity, and fluid type information. Let's move down to about the left foot of the operator where you'll find 2 switches, air horn and mechanical siren. Up to about the left knee of the operator, you'll find your master battery switch, quarter turn. You'll also find a diagnostic port for the engine, transmission, ABS, and also J1939 diagnostic information. Below, you'll find ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostic indicator, and also regen inhibit switch. Moving just upward, we're going to find your pump shift. There are instructions here from road to pump, and then also from pump to road. The 2 green indicators on the left, pump engaged and OK to pump, are required for pump operations prior to exiting the cab. Let's move now to the dash. Let's start on the left-hand side of the image here where you'll find the ignition and start switch. Just inside of that location, you'll find your EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master, turns on and off your emergency lights, headlight switch, and a panel switch will allow you to brighten or dim panel lights within the driver's preview. Moving up to the dash area, we're going to find your transmission oil, DEF level, and water temp. On the right-hand side, we're going to find volts, fuel, front air, and rear air with your speedometer and tachometer located in the center. Diagnostic information will display above and below the speedometer. Down to the lower right-hand corner, you'll find your OK to engage the high idle switch and also indicator. Here's a close-up of that switch. You can see it's currently OK to engage the high idle. The green light is on. You can go ahead and activate. As we move toward the center of the dash area, you'll find your monitor for your backup cameras. You'll also find some switches below that, which is your aerial master, aerial PTO, an indicator indicating that your aerial PTO is engaged. Also, we have a stabilizers not stowed indicator, front wheel lock, and load manager. Just to the right, you'll find your windshield wiper, and press on that button, you'll activate the fluid for the windshield wipers. Let's move just downward from this location where we'll find your siren brake, engine brake, which is on and off, settings for low or high for that engine brake, and then also electric horn or air horn, mirror heat, And then we have a protected switch. It's the orange switch with the tire chains. Let's move downward from this location. This will be just to the right of the steering column. These are your mirror controls for flat and convex. As we move up to the top here, we're going to find your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. To the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad with a digital readout and also a pump in drive indicator. As we move further to the right, you'll find climate control and then also barrel 12-volt access. Let's go ahead and look overhead of the operator position. I'd like to point out the placard on the left-hand side. This is your placard indicating the height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating. Your height is 11 feet 4 inches. Your length is 33 feet 0 inches. Gross vehicle weight rating of 53,800 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle that would alter any of these, please update this placard. Let's move just to the right of this location. We'll identify a few switches within this area. First, starting with an emergency master switch, high beam flash, and also an Opticom switch with future switch locations if necessary. Moving further to the right, we're going to find your scene lights. This is going to be your master scene, front scene, driver's side scene, passenger side scene, rear scene, and ditch lights. You'll notice that there is a green indicator when the switch has been active. The light will illuminate within the designated switch area. Let's move slightly to the right once again, where you'll find your Bluetooth Sirius XM radio. Looking overhead, we'll find your seatbelt information. I'll talk a little bit about that in the next set of images. I'd also like to point out there are some push on and off depending on the lens you push for lights overhead. And then also all the way to the officer side, you'll find additional switch panel for your siren brake. Let's move to the rear section of the cab. Once again, affixed to the door panels, you'll find all of your warning labels. In addition, down at the very bottom, you'll find this red grab handle for gaining access in and out of the cab. As we look to the center, you have two rear-facing EMS compartments with netting. There is LED lights inside and also adjustable shelving. As we look to the rear wall, we'll find two seats which do have SCBA capability. They are fold-down seats, and you can see the red seat belts for your safety. Let's move from this location to the forward location where you'll find your transmission and oil check location. And now we're out to the pump panel. We'll start in the upper right-hand corner with first a few items. Let's start first on the left with your pump intake. This is your master gauge. Moving to the right, you'll find your pump discharge. Once again, this is your master gauge. And in between the two of those, you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged. As we move to the right, we'll find your engine module. This is for engine information. You'll find oil, water, fuel, and volts on the outer edges. You do have some warning labels here. We have a warning light, check transmission, and also check engine. Those are amber warnings. You'll also receive a red stop engine if illuminated. That would be on the far left-hand side. Let's look now down to the left-hand side of the panel where you'll find your Husky 12 foam system. There are instructions for operation of that. And then also this placard, which is your minimum operation maintenance schedule for your Pierce vehicle. On the left-hand side, you'll find the associated GPM. Directly in the center, you'll find the PSI for test pressures 150, 200, and 250. And on the right, you'll find the matching RPMs for that test pressure. Let's move to the panel now where you'll find your number 1 and number 3 crosslay. These are both water and foam capable. You can see they're clearly color-coded and labeled. We also have a warning label here. Because of the hoses coming off, we have an entanglement hazard. Just beneath that, you'll find your pump overheat when flashing light is indicated, and you also can push to test that. Below that, you'll find an audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does allow you to dampen that sound. The red module is your Husky foam system. It is going to be the on-off button in red. We have a prime switch here in yellow, increase, decrease in green, a page and enter switch in blue, and then all the way to the right, you'll find your foam system level indicator from refill, quarter, half, 3/4 to full. You can see it's in the red placard. To the right, you'll find your water level indicator. As we move further to the right, you'll find panel light switches, OK to pump, driver side scene lights, passenger side cab scene lights, and then a red air horn switch. Let's move further down. Not going to go through all of the discharges. They're clearly color-coded and labeled, as you can see. If they are foam compliant, they will say that on the label also. We do have a pressure hazard here. Because of those caps, it may be under pressure. Be cautious when removing them. To the right, you'll find your tank fill and then also your tank to pump right next to each other. Let's move up. I would like to point out this is your pressure throttle governor. Please see your owner's manual for more information and operation of this module. As we move to the very far right, you'll find your engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. And then as we move down further, you'll find a flush. Once again, twist, not a pull. And then all the way down to the very bottom, you'll find your recirculating line. Same concept, twist, not pull. And then as we move to the right, you'll find your fire pump primer. This is an air prime. Because of that, there are some instructions just below for best practices, 1,000 RPMs when priming. Let's move further down onto the pump panel itself. We do have a warning label here that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment and only after they've received proper training. We also have a warning label here regarding foam failure. Don't mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. You'll also find your driver's side auxiliary inlet. It is a female 2.5-inch inlet. As we move to the right, you have your master pump drain. And then further to the right, you'll find your pump shift. There is a caution information label above that. See your owner's manual for operation of that mode. This is the type of pump you have, a CSU. It is a 1,500 GPM pump. And we also have, because of this being an aerial device, we do have an electrocution hazard danger label also located here. Just in front of the rear axle is where you'll find your folding wheel chocks storage location. Let's now move upward to the compartments. You'll find LED lighting, adjustable shelving, pull-out trays, and also pull-out shelves. In the upper corner, you're going to find your ventilation system. This is the timer for that ventilation system. When plugged into shore power, it will activate in addition with your shoreline outlets. Let's move just to the right. We're going to go over the rear axle. First, I'd like to point out this danger label regarding electrocution hazard because of that aerial device in the air. Be cautious when operating. You'll also find the blue cap, which is your DEF 4.5 US gallon tank. And then you'll also find the silver cap, which is your ultra low sulfur diesel. I'd also like to point out some crush injury here. Because of that stabilizer moving inward and outward, there's the possibility of crush hazard. Let's move around to the rear section of the truck. We'll identify a few items. First, starting at the rear, at the very top, you'll find emergency light, a brake light, turn, and then a backup light. We're also going to find each side. This is going to be the driver's side stabilizer, and then also as we move upward from that location, you'll find a rear-facing scene light and also an emergency warning light. As we move toward the center area of the vehicle, we'll identify a few items within this area. First, to the rear, you have two exterior tow locations or attachment points. There are some warning labels on those attachment points that you should only pull directly even with the truck. You'll also find a gauge here for inlet pressure, your master stream inlet in the very center. As we move upward, we've got some warning labels here that you shouldn't ride on or climb on the rear of the apparatus while it's in motion. We do have the wheel valve here, which will control flow of water for your aerial device. We also have a placard, which I'll go over that in just a few minutes regarding the aerial device. And then once again, some danger and warning labels regarding electrocution. As we move from this location, we'll move upward and we'll identify this in a later set of images, but this is the controls for your boom. As we move to the right, you'll find your intercom system. That is the round circle with the vents in it. That's your speaker system. And as we move to the very top section, we have some additional warning labels right next to the center camera for backing up. This is your aerial stabilizer. This is on the left-hand side of the vehicle. There's also one on the right-hand side, in addition with rear scene lights and also deck lights. I've got some close-ups of the items that we just talked about. This is your aerial inlet outlet, and then also your aerial drain on the left-hand side and incoming pressure. You'll also find your aerial drain behind the pan door, which is just to the lower right-hand side. Let's move upward from this location. We'll identify a few more items on the far right-hand side. This is your passenger side rear discharge. And then you can also see on the left-hand side, we have inclinometers from front to back and then also side to side. Inside the pan door, you'll find long tools and then also a 10-foot folding attic ladder. As we move to the rear section of your apparatus, you'll find the stabilizer power or ladder power indicators. To make that selection, switch either upward for ladder or downward for stabilizer. We'll also find your high idle and also aerial master override on the left. As we move to the right, you'll find an indicator for your electric pump and then also your PTO for that pump. On the inside of this door, you'll also find a placard regarding your aerial electrical connector ring. There are assignments from 1 through 28. Let's start now at the panel at the back of the apparatus. First, we have a caution information here, indicator it's red. It's the ladder rack is not lowered. And then we also have a red indicator that your hydraulic filter is plugged if any of those are illuminated. As we move to the top, everything's pretty well clearly identified here. At the very top, you'll find your monitor. Just down from that location, you'll find nozzle control and then also a master switch here, a mushroom for stop. You'll also find panel lights, boom lights, spotlights, and also your OK to engage the high idle switch. And then also you'll find on the far left your hydraulic system pressure, a flow minder indicating for digital flow total readout, and then also a aerial discharge pressure. On the very far right, you'll find a green indicator regarding rung alignment, and that will flash as you move that device in or out. Let's move back down to the placard on the lower right hand side. This is going to be for your waterway dry with a 20-mile-an-hour wind condition. It has your aerial elevation and also load at the tip. And then you have waterway charge with a 20-mile-an-hour wind condition, load at the tip also. We also have waterway dry and tip supported information. And then at the very bottom, we have a rated horizontal reach for your device. Let's take a look at some close-ups of things we just talked about. First, starting on the left with your aerial drain, and then also a gauge here for that aerial inlet. As we move up to the right corner, you'll find your intercom system and then also some warning labels here regarding pressure hazard. Let's move now to the fill location for your aerial hydraulic oil. On the back side of the door is where you'll find the oil type, ISO grade, and also normal ambient range. From this location on passenger and driver side, you're going to find your stabilizers. When they are placed on firm ground, you'll get a green indicator. As we move to the top, you'll find your aerial device. Let's pan outward just a little bit from this location here, and we'll find your suction hoses on the driver's side of the vehicle in their hose tray. As we move toward the dunnage of the vehicle, you'll find the fill locations for your foam tank A, also a warning label on this regarding foam failure, and then also your water tank fill location. As we move to the booster line, you'll find the tensioning screw on the right, and then also a manual rewind location keyed on the top. Let's go ahead and move now forward of this location to the tip of your master stream device. You can see you've got two forward-facing lights here that are adjustable. As we look from the downward position, you can find nozzle control in the first box, and then on the far right is your intercom system. Here's a close-up, deploy stow, stream, fog, right, left, and raise and lower. As we now move around to the passenger side, you can see your stabilizer pad right next to the stabilizer location. And then also as we move forward, you'll find bottle storage location and also a tool board in the center compartment. There is a release mechanism on the hinge side of that tool board. Let's go under the vehicle now where you'll find your tire chains. And then also we'll look out to your exhaust area. Extremely hot temperatures. Please be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move to the midsection of your pump, let's first start with a few items starting in the upper left-hand corner of this picture. You have a grab handle, two discharges located underneath the crosslays, and those are going to be your number 2 and number 4 crosslay. Once again, foam and water capable. We do have an entanglement hazard warning label. This is going to be for your hydraulic ladder rack. This is for your fill location and also information regarding the type of oil in the reservoir. As we move just downward from this location slightly to the left, you'll find your cab lift operations. There's a protected switch for raise and lower and also an activate. We do have some caution and danger labels here. There are instructions on the placard. Moving further to the right, you'll find your large diameter passenger side discharge. You'll also find your powered equipment rack and then also a reel rewind. Down at the very bottom, you'll find your passenger side auxiliary inlet. That's a 2.5-inch female inlet. As we move toward the cab, in between the two seating locations, you'll find this compartment, adjustable shelving, and LED lighting. As we move to the top, you've got an additional logo located at the very top of your cab. As we move to the officer location, fixed to the door panel, you'll find, once again, warning labels. Down at the floor level, we're going to find your air horn and also mechanical siren foot pedals. As we move to the right of the hinge side, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid and then also the pull rope for your bell. Toward the center, you'll find 3 access points for 12-volt USB and barrel style. As we move to the center and the very top, you'll find your seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green indicating they're in the seat and belted. Congratulations, Aberdeen, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34119. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.